Well, good evening. I call this meeting to order at 7:05 p.m. Welcome, everybody. We've had a trying month, and the library has been open for most of it, so we thank Beth and her staff for being diligent.
Trying.
Thank you so much.
So, Beth Patch has sent over the minutes for October and November.
You can have it.
We didn't get the opportunity to review them before the last meeting, so we didn't have a motion to accept the October minutes. Did everybody get an opportunity to have a look and get back to Beth with their feedback?
Yes.
Yes? Okay, do I have a motion to accept the October minutes?
I move we accept the October minutes.
Any second?
Second.
Okay, all in
I don't think
favor?
I was here in October. Was I here on the October one?
No,
Okay.
neither one. And
Yep.
I feel like I missed 2 in a row.
you did.
Well, should we wait till Dana comes back? She missed the motion. She just walked
She
out.
needs water.
She's fine. She's getting water. So, so you accept the minutes for October.
Yes.
And I need to say that I am sorry. The November minutes are complete.
Yes.
I have them actually right here, but they haven't been reviewed.
No worries. Okay.
I've been a little slow, but it will pick up like my usual stuff.
Right.
Yeah,
We just
when
did that.
Dana-
Yes.
When Dana comes
Yeah.
back.
Yeah,
So we'll,
okay.
we'll wait till Dana comes back. Beth has been emailing us the bills
Yes.
and the warrants.
Yep. I did not bring paper copies of what I emailed out. And we were short-staffed and not open all hours yesterday, and I was out all day today, so there were no bills prepared for this meeting for you to sign. So
Okay.
you're off the hook. You do need a motion to accept the bills that I signed that I sent out for your review by email.
Yeah.
Everything from the previous meeting.
I make a
nothing.
motion to accept the bills that Beth distributed in email.
And I second that.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And again, maybe we should wait for Dana. We can probably approve those pretty quick when she gets back. But let's go on to the building program, MPLCP, and for our audience here, can you remind us what that stands for?
Massachusetts Public Library Construction Program, which is 30 years old. It's an appropriation at the state level of 125 million, I think, or 30 million in bonds that they renew every 5 years. It gets redistributed through a grant program to libraries who are doing renovation and or new construction. We won a grant round in 16, to renovate our building to the tune of up to $7.4 million to offset the cost of our $16.6 million renovation. And instead of what happens is libraries who get the grants get waitlisted, and they make a priority based on need and success of the application. So we were waitlisted. Traditionally, libraries wait to move forward on their project until they are guaranteed of that funding through renewal of the bond. And it is a reimbursement grant, so the municipality always has to borrow the full amount and then wait for 20%, 5 years of 20% repayments. Grafton opted to take the provisional grant as set in stone because it's been in existence for 30 years, and we sort of have it on good authority that MBLC is going to continue the program. So they opted to keep construction costs low because that grant award was based on a contingency that we were going to take longer and be out 5 years, and that construction costs would escalate, which is why our bids came in low. So we decided to move forward, and we are technically completely under construction. We had a ceremonial groundbreaking, and we've gotten a small grant payment, not a 20%, but because we went ahead and moved forward, we got $460,000 that we can put toward architectural fees and construction fees. And we are starting to see those construction bills coming in, so. So we broke ground in November, which was really exciting. And CTA, our construction company, promptly put a fence around the perimeter. I was so hoping they would put up a sign that said, "This is where the sidewalk ends," to direct people across the street. It was a missed opportunity. They're still working on the construction sign that the state requires for the project. It should be in sometime this week, and that'll go up on the fence near the trailer, so everyone has information for who to contact in case there's an issue. You'll notice the building is lit up. That is deliberate. They turned off all of our utilities and instated their own, and it's lit 24/7. They're going to be footing the bill, but it's to so they can see during the day to work. They are working a 6 a.m. to 5 p.m. schedule because we are having an aggressive schedule. We want to try and move through this process quickly. We're still hoping for early 2021 to finish, but also it will deter vandals. So that's why it's so bright. We're not wasting electricity. We are keeping our place safe and secure. They took down trees, they took down stumps, and they continued with soil testing and digging for footings. Right now, I believe they have a partial building permit, I believe. I don't know if they have one for demolition and foundation, but they were able to start doing some structural stuff. They are talking that demolition is on schedule for this week. And they have found some soil contamination from an oil tank that was never removed when we switched from gas to oil. So we're still waiting for test results for that. And I did see some online commentary about why wasn't due diligence done, and we did do soil testing and have done soil testing consistently. It's possible that the tank was not leaking in 2017 or 2016 when we were applying for the grant and doing all that hazmat and environmental testing. This could actually be a new problem. It's possible, yeah. So it's not from an old gas station. It's from the tank that is on site. That's probably cracked and possibly was not drained. It was just capped over and left.
Is it in the ground?
It's in the ground, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I
Yeah,
know
if you're
what
walking
it is
in the
now.
staff entrance, you can see the pipe.
I remember when the
coming
library
up.
discussed removing that. I thought we were going to, but they didn't. It
Yeah.
wasn't done.
That was long before our time.
It was.
Yeah, 25 years maybe. When the parking lot was
No,
in.
not 25 years.
No? Well, I think it came up again when the parking lot was being built, and they opted again to leave it. So more on that. We have a conference call Thursday at 2:00 to see what the results of that are, and hopefully it'll be something that they can either remediate quickly or remediate slowly. But whatever the outcome, they will have to remediate. We were $1 million under budget, remember, for our construction bid, which is excellent. So we're not dipping into any contingency. We still have plenty of money to spend on this project. Once we spent $16.6 million, then there's a problem with, we needed more contingency. But I think we built in 15 to 20%, and MBLC's recommendation was higher than that, which is why we got the amount of grant money we did. So things are progressing. That's very exciting.
Yep, I fully accept your explanation. I mean, it's why we had the contingency that we did for
Yeah.
these sort of unforeseen, items that come up.
And a lot of a lot of those unforeseen items are at the beginning of the project, right?
Right.
It's digging the soil, it's
Yeah.
the demolition part, all the new construction
Unknowns.
is a
Yeah.
little bit less likely to have contingencies.
Yep.
And we did test borings too, and you can't be thorough. You have to spot check, and they found ranges from 4 to 11 feet, and they knew that going into it. So then the construction company in town had to negotiate about how far are we digging down that you've already paid for, and then how are you making up the difference when we have to dig further down than we anticipated. And that's what the change order was about last week, 2 weeks ago, I think last week. Yep.
Any update on, I guess, 2 items? Do you know about the loan, the bank loan for the entire cost of the project?
They weren't ever going to borrow the full amount all at once. It was
Yeah.
small increments. Bills are getting paid. That's what I know about the borrowing process.
Okay.
Yeah, that's all that I've heard too from our building committee meetings.
Yeah.
Okay. And about the permitting, do we have any update on that?
Only what
Yeah.
Beth just said about that some of it's been partially permitted, but it hasn't been completed yet.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very good. Any other
Yeah.
questions for Beth? Great, thank you very much.
Sure.
Beth Patch, do we need to go back to accept the minutes and the bills since
Okay.
Dana had stepped out?
Yeah, I think they did accept them tentatively.
Yeah. So let's just do that quickly. So for the October minutes, do I have a motion to accept them?
I move
Danielle?
to accept the October minutes.
I seconded.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
November will be reviewed in January.
Perfect.
Yep. And Doug had previously made a motion to accept the
The bills.
bills that Beth had sent over email.
Danielle.
And I seconded that.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, great, thank you. Okay, we have budget review, 2021 budget discussion.
Sent it out a while back. I did meet with Tim, who had some questions, and I think the draft that I set out was missing the state aid piece that had, here's the total amount of the budget, and here's the 15% that we are mandated by state law to spend on library materials, which is books, magazines, databases, maps, globes, manipulatives, things in-house and that circulate, museum passes. So he wanted me to fill in those figures for him. I need to update our organizational chart. So I'm on assignment to do that. And he did not ask me to make any cuts. That mostly I am level funded and requesting a little more money for programming because our programs have been such a success. And I requested some additional staffing because we're short-staffed in our current temporary space. And it's only going to become an exacerbated issue in the larger space because of dividing the youth services space in half and adding an extra information desk, which we may just not be able to staff when we open.
Which we've talked about.
Yeah,
We
so-
thought it may not be a necessity. We're gonna see what we
Yes,
thought.
so we have a portable desk that's there if we need it, and maybe at the beginning while we orient
Yeah.
people, we'll spread thin instead of adding positions. But I have asked for increased hours, 5 additional hours for 2 different staff. I asked for 2 permanent 10-hour positions. We are going to are about to fill the vacancy that we had with Lee leaving.
Yep.
So my hope would be that we have 3 subs, that they'll sort of divide. One person will get the 20-hour. She's hopefully being appointed tonight. And then next year, the 2 subs will get the 10-hour. In the meantime, we'll need to add to the sub pool. So I built in just a few sub hours, like 12 total per week or 8 total per week. And then I did ask for a kind of an unheard of 10% raise for Eileen LeBlanc, whose job title and duties changed a year ago. And I think I had indicated that I would try and get her a little bit more money because of what she's taken on for financials for the library. And she had been working 37 hours instead of 35 because I totally forgot about the raise. I remembered to give her 37 hours, but didn't remember that she really needed some more money. And that could get denied because it's a significant jump. Most people get 2%. So I'm expecting that I will have to make cuts. There is a $1 million gap given the school budget. And every department will have to make cuts, and I'll find out sometime, probably in January, what the amount is. Usually it's cut 4% or 3%, and I go back and I go, all right, where can I cut? So it could be those 10-hour positions. It could be the substitute positions, and we'll just work short. Programming would probably get cut as well. We do fewer programs.
Is your total like FTE budget similar to what it was in the old building, or is it a little bit higher?
It's a little bit
lower?
higher. So I had 12 FTE for this year. And remember, one of the things that happened is we sort of flipped our model. So previously we'd had 2 desks in the children's room and 1 desk upstairs with 2 seats. So we needed 3 desks staffed all the time and 4 people on every shift. Upstairs, we had myself, Eileen, Donna, and Heidi in the perimeter, able to jump up and serve people at that main desk because we only had 3 people, 35 and a 220s, filling that need. So 75 hours, and we're open 58 hours a week. So we actually need 116 hours to staff that desk, and we only had 75 hours worth of people upstairs. Beth jumped in and helped too.
Yeah, she's been doing a lot.
Yeah,
now.
but she shouldn't be. She's supposed to be doing work for the board and not covering the desk, even though she's very skilled at it and great with helping people
With
at the
that.
computer. But it's not her primary role. No more than it is Donna and Eileen. So anytime we do put Beth and Donna and Eileen, or myself, like I go out and cover as needed, and I love doing delivery, but I have other skills and I have to write reports and things. So we're pulling people away from their primary tasks, which then don't get done or get slowed down. Now the new books aren't going out as quickly. Now the bills aren't ready. Now the volunteer didn't get trained because now people have to cover the service desk, and that's the priority. So what happened when we moved to the St. Andrew's facility, and the children's room had been short-staffed and had been advocating for more people, so they actually can run their department and have coverage all of the time because I've given them staff. We moved to St. Andrew's, we had 75 hours worth of people to cover in the sanctuary space, which is all the adult materials for adults, sorry, and computers and faxing and all of that, hold shelf, self-check. So it's customer service intense, two people on that desk all the time. Meanwhile, everyone else has shifted to offices in kind of the back half of the building, and they can get pulled. But again, they're not just happening to walk
not
by.
as easy.
They don't. It's not in their visual control. So it's been really challenging to staff the space. So we really need more people now. So I've gone from 12 FTEs to a proposed 13 FTE for FY21. The national standard is 15 FTE for the population the size of Grafton. So I've been saying every year when I put in my budget that we remain short-staffed, and it's incredible the amount of return on investment and work that we're able to get done with 3 less FTE than we really should have. And we have a volunteer crew, but they are limited in scope for what they're allowed to do in the building. It's mostly shelving, so that staff can be at the desk instead of jumping up and shelving materials. So yeah, so we need more people. And I had wanted to build up the staff and open a new building, not having to ask for more staff except for a custodian. So I did put a custodial position in as well, but that wouldn't start until the final quarter of FY21, presuming the new building will be open March, April. And I suppose it's possible that if all the construction is done, we open March or April, and it's a disaster with staffing, and we're overrun because now attendance is up 300%. Then we go to town meeting in October and, beg for more money for salary for staff.
Yeah, that'd be a good problem to have, right?
Yes.
Having 3 times as many people using it.
But it's not.
That's pretty much what happens. It's a nightmare. Yeah, it's
I
yeah.
hope
It's
so.
happened to almost
Oh,
every
definitely.
library that we've
Yeah.
known,
Yep.
that has gone from like what we've had to what we will have.
Yeah.
Including
So-
Northborough and Shrewsbury that I know of.
The self-check will help immensely, and that's part of why we implemented self-check, and part of the reason too,
That's
for
always
again,
been
like we
asked
moved
about
to the new space, we have self-serve coffee, we have self-service holds, we have self-check, so we're sort of slowly introducing this to our patrons, so that we're not opening, and now they have to learn all these new things. At the same time, they're figuring out orientation of the building.
Thought of that.
That would be me. Thank you.
Because it won't be as noticeable.
That would
They
be
know how to do it.
Yeah.
That would be us, because it was the long range planning. The self-check really came out of the long range planning that we did 5 years ago. So,
That's a nice segue.
That was good.
Very good idea.
That was good.
Very good. Do you need any support from us to further
Yes.
review the 2021 budget?
Oh, budget,
or more just advocate for that budget? with the
be
finance?
prepared in March, given whatever I have to cut, to really fight for those 10-hour positions.
Okay,
Upstairs.
Board of Selectmen, Select Board's upstairs.
okay.
Yeah. Yeah, and then if you're going to, it's further down on your agenda, I think, but Find Free Library is also where I'll be looking for support. I did mention it to Tim, and he wants numbers.
Yep.
So keep working on that for him.
Fantastic, thank
Yeah.
you. Okay. Grafton Public Library Capital Campaign, Dana.
Okay, well, I have some good news. A couple of things are happening. Doug and I are gonna meet briefly after the meeting. We'll probably meet.
Do you want to turn your microphone
Oh, I'm
towards?
sorry.
Yeah.
Hi, thank you. Excuse me, I have some good news. I was gonna say Doug and I are gonna meet briefly after the meeting and probably maybe next week. But we have some new interest from a couple people, which is nice. I met Dawn Anderson at the groundbreaking. And I know her from the soccer field. Her husband is Sebastian Anderson. He's a wonderful soccer coach. So she expressed an interest, and we've been in touch. And then also I just talked briefly in the hallway to Donna Stock, and she's also interested. So I emailed her today, and I also had a phone, left her a message. So we briefly just talked. So our plan is, what we're working on right now, Doug and I and whomever else is on the committee, we're going to see who's, still interested. But we're working on updating the brochure because we have new illustrations and some of the information's changed. And now we're just trying to figure out if we want to we may have to do have an illustration done, which I think we could do ourselves if we need to, spend it through the capital campaign. Because we do need a nice shot in the cover. What happened, and it was very important, we had to wait for the illustrations, the color of the building changed, it's brick. We also got rid of the balcony, there were major changes, so we had to wait. It was hard, but we had to, so we did it. So our plan is to we want to have everything done by the third week in January is what we're talking about. We want to have a brochure, we're going to have a photos. We're going to have a bookmark that mimics it to a certain extent, maybe that has the look of it and has some information on it. And then we're also looking into, we have to figure this out exactly, but we'd like to put up a couple banners. I'd like to put one, if possible, at the, right at the library, at the corner of like South Street and 140, there's a good position where we could put a banner that just basically says, you know, we're under construction and maybe something about the campaign. Just so people know what's happening, because we do know that some people think that, I still have hearing from people how they're thinking that where we are now is where we're going to be, or hey, it really does look great, kind of like, why are you going? So, but we know we're under construction. We want people to know that. I'm sure as soon as they're aware that there's not as much parking because the library parking is gone, and then the other lot that Tim McInerney had made, that's gone. People will know. But anyway, that's our thoughts, and we're gonna roll it through, and we're really excited. And so we'll be working on, once we have our materials together, as we do it, we're going to get some meetings. So, and then we're talking about the strategy. We have some strategy kind of already planned to make an announcement, probably depending how quickly we get some additional donations. So,
Sounds good.
so we're pretty excited about it. We have a little bit of work to do, but we'll get it done, and we'll have, we're going to update things and have Beth Galloway look at everything again.
So do you really feel that people don't know the library's closed still?
I feel like sometimes people don't, I think they know it's closed, but some of them are they're kind of getting used to, where we are now. And some of them think it's really great.
So
I mean, I know I'm being kind of a little bit hyper, I'm a little exaggerating, but.
Yeah, but for those potential patrons that think the library isn't here at all, like if it's closed, it's closed. They don't know that we're down the street. Yeah.
Well, my thought is I really want people to know like Beth has just outlined, in today's world, we have to remind people what's happening.
Yeah.
And the fact that, I mean, I was just I go to other libraries. I was in Westboro, and they're still on the waiting list, and they're waiting to get to be funded. So where we are we're in such a great position. We want to take advantage of that. I'm just thinking we need to remind people, that's all, because people do forget. And if they see something, they see the new picture, because we have old illustrations out there. We have to roll out the new one so people know what it's going to look like. That's all. I mean, I'm exaggerating a little bit, but I do get people from time to time. I mean, both Beths tell me that people,
All the time.
they forget. I mean, are they just,
And that spot gets
Or maybe they haven't heard
so
it.
so much publicity. People put up their signs all over the common, all along the common, but we have this great prime real estate for a good advertising.
yeah, I just have to check
information.
with Mr. Berger to make sure that's okay.
Yeah, that's smart.
Yeah,
He's very,
ask him about the process. He may want to see the design before.
oh
he
yeah,
produces it.
I've worked with him. I worked with him for Small Stones, and we have a good working relationship.
Yeah, and we
See any
keep
issue.
tossing around some kind of thermometer type thing that you see with a lot of fundraising, we want to put something like that up on the site.
The architect's advice was then it makes it look like people can stop giving when they hit the top of the thermometer. So aim high.
Well, we've talked about that. We're working on
Yeah.
it. We're thinking about that would be a little bit later.
Okay.
But we've seen Northborough has a great one that's inside that could be outside, so we took pictures of
We
that.
could design it so the top is movable and you can just kind of keep stretching it up.
Just repaint the number. So it was on the agenda for our construction meetings. Is there more signs coming? Because they need to know. So I just need about a week's notice
Oh, okay.
so that they know that it's coming, and I think they'll probably hang it unless you have an installer, but.
No, it
Well,
would just be me.
So I mentioned it to Andy last construction meeting that we were he said basically if we come up with a sign, then they would install it.
That's what I thought, yeah.
That would be
Yeah, but they
nice.
still-
'Cause
they-
generally,
it's
I
gotta
would
go on
have
the
to do
agenda.
it.
No, that'd be great if they
Yeah.
did it.
Because maybe I can make
They've
it
been
bigger then
wonderful to
too.
work with.
They're pretty economical, so this is and then that fence seems pretty sturdy. If you put it with ties and that, it won't flap around. It'd be really great. So we're looking into that. So that's what's happening. By this time next month, we should really have some materials to show you.
Oh, great. That'll be nice.
If we have any issues, we'll let you know, but we know we want to roll. We're ready to roll. We're excited. Right, Doug?
Yep. It's finally to actually
I
get
saw it-
started now.
I saw a demolition, I saw the back of the library was said demo, so they know what to smash, I guess.
Wow.
Interesting.
We hope to know. I know Beth, once you
Yeah.
find out, or Doug, let us
Well,
know.
I'm
So we can
waiting
take
for
pictures.
a camera, like
Yeah, we are still waiting for
Yeah.
a camera.
What camera?
We
to
want,
to be on. They were going to put it on a trailer. I think that was.
I mean, they're
the
going
most
to put a
re-
camera on?
Like
Yeah,
a
so
web
you have a
stream
a
that you
live-
can check
They're going to
on.
do that?
Yeah. they've
Oh,
been
that is
working
so
on-
cool.
working on it.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That'd be kind of cool.
Yeah.
And I haven't.
They've already done some demolition inside, right? They got all the marble
yeah.
taken out.
They
all the
did.
marble
Yeah.
flooring.
Oh yeah. So there's something weird going on that I'm not getting the reports from Andy, so I don't have current photos to share. But he's been documenting. He showed me on his phone, and
Yeah,
It's
'cause
just
they're
a typo
gonna
in the address.
reuse the marble, right?
yes, in
He
the
was
foyer.
telling me that.
Yeah.
So that's great.
Thank you, Beth. And thank you,
Dana.
Dana. Okay, on to IT update.
I haven't had time, or you gave me feedback about a laptop, and I
Yeah.
went, oh, all right. I guess I could get something a little bit more up to date. But I haven't had time to revisit it
Yeah,
and
the only-
talk to somebody. It's just it's going to be more money.
Well, the only
Like,
well, it's not that it's more money, but you can get kind of creative on the things that are most important to you. And if the specs that you felt having the nice graphics card and memory and storage is
Yeah.
important, I think you could go for a little bit more storage just to make it more future proof.
yeah,
that-
especially because I hang on to it. I'm not trading it in every 3
Yeah.
years, so it might be worth it to spend a little more. But
But it all depends on
why-
how much you need to store on the machine, right?
Yeah.
So, like, if you're not storing a lot of large video captures or anything,
Yeah.
then a smaller
That's
drive is
fine.
fine. But
Okay.
anyways, I detailed all this to her in an email.
Yeah.
Oh, good. Thank you for your
So
help,
I haven't
Erin.
spent
Sure.
it yet. Yeah.
That's
I'll
really
let you know when
good.
I'm buying.
So is
I
this gonna
think
be
Beth
brought
needs to get
back
the
or?
best
Well, we have
one she needs.
we have IT
We can
update
use
on
some money
every.
from state from our
every
funding
month,
if
so-
we need
No,
to.
I mean, but this is
They already
specifically
approved it.
about, it's
Yeah.
all set.
Yes, I will come back if I need more money. But
Get
yeah,
the
I'm
best
trying to
you
make it
need.
work.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Because your
Apple.
time is valuable.
Thanks.
Well,
Yeah, and I do. I mean,
We know you'll keep it.
I'm salaried. I bring it home and I work all the time.
We know
So
that.
But as
Yeah.
Aaron says, there's different
Yeah.
options
Yes.
that you want to make sure you maximize here, and you don't
minimize
necessarily-
elsewhere, right?
yeah.
Yep. Right.
Okay.
So it
All right.
doesn't just mean the price will keep going up. Doug's point.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, I should
Um,
talk to you before I bought my computer.
How about the anything going on at the library we need to know about? Wi-Fi is good. Printers are
Yeah, Wi-Fi is good. IT is responsive. I forget what the most recent issue was, but they came and took care of it quickly. So
very
we
good.
had a large PDF print job from a staff computer to a staff printer jam up everything, and they were able to come and clear it. I guess my unplug it all suggestion didn't work.
That
So.
wasn't when I was there, was it?
No, it was a while back.
Oh, good.
Oh, it might have been.
I
don't know.
Wasn't me, like a
It was
week ago.
recently.
I think so. Yeah. And then I forgot to tell Susan it was fixed. So
No, it was a staff.
yeah, it was a staff thing.
Okay. Thank you. On to Friends update. I wasn't able to attend the meeting this month. Anybody get the opportunity or hear?
I went. I can't remember if that was this month or last month. I went to the meeting and it was canceled. Like a
Right.
handful of us showed up, and Carrie canceled like 5 minutes before or something.
Yeah, so they did meet November 14th. I think they talked a little
Yeah,
bit
we-
about Grafton celebrates the holidays.
Yeah, we
I don't have
talked. We
minutes.
talked about that. I was
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
So we talked about
So was that-
at
that was
at
the last meeting.
The last meeting. So I don't know if they met this month yet.
No, their next meeting is January
Okay. So
12th.
then we
I
didn't miss anything.
believe. 14th.
Okay. Very good.
Yep. I forgot to add something. I did that raffle basket, so you know I wasn't able to go to the event.
Yep.
So I sent everybody a list, but so we gave a value of like almost $147. So my son had like four books that were worth around 43 that he barely opened. So and then we purchased a 20% discount at the at Barnes and Noble, and it was a nice looking basket. When I brought it into the school, they were quite happy, and they hadn't received any baskets, so it was nice.
Oh,
So I just wanted to tell you about that. I sent you a list of what we put in it. One of them was the new Diary of the Wimpy Kid, and then we had some younger kid books like Jack Frost versus the Abominable Snowman. One Day of we had some classic Goosebumps books, and then we had the new Jan Brett book, and then a couple of the other books were Dog Man and Cat Kid that I had gotten for my son.
Nice.
And I also sent you, just because I go to the Framingham Library, and I have been buying a lot of books. They have a friend's bookcase that is filled with books, and they're $2 a piece. So I've been buying from there. So I sent you that, and they also have a monthly book sale. I sent you all that so you could see it. Because I don't know, it seems to me like the books are always changing, and so I think they're making money from it. So just thought I would add that because I've been meaning to and I haven't. So
Thank you, Dana. I think the last, we had spoken about the Friends having a space to showcase books, or at least have a book sale. Wouldn't be until the new space is open.
But
But I wonder, I mean, did you
But-
see did you see the bookcase I sent you?
I saw your email. I haven't been
So,
able to look through it.
It's not, it's, I mean,
Yeah.
they have,
you walk
they
right
have
by it.
space.
I probably buy one almost at least once a month.
So in spite of our please don't donate books and the Friends retiring down under, we did reserve a space for them in the foyer. It's really prominent. And we have library discards that are sometimes in saleable condition. So we've been putting library discards in the things that trickle in that are okay on that shelf. But Aaron Swartz, who was in charge of Down Under previously, apparently had lots of things at his house because he goes to book sales, and he put together at the last minute
Oh, those baskets.
50 book bundles. It sold for about $3. So we actually do have
Wow.
there's a nice
Bought a
grouping
few
of
them. They were great.
holiday
They were wonderfully done.
themed.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm
But is
sorry
there-
Tied with a
about that.
nice red ribbon.
Yep.
They're still
They
there.
were only
Okay.
$5?
I think there were three.
Yeah.
$3.
Three.
Yeah. Yeah, like 3 James
They were
Patterson
very,
iFunny
very well
series
done.
and
Wow.
a bunch of YA books and kids'
Very well
books.
done.
So is there space in that lobby for them?
Yeah, there has
remember.
been. We give them prime real estate.
We should.
The
center.
issue is that we don't have a place to take continuous donations and store them and sort them. There's no
Gotcha.
room.
Okay.
So instead, so it worked for Grafton Celebrates the Holidays because he had all that stuff off site. We do have a free space under the hold shelf, so those things in January
Right.
will probably get moved to the free spot because in January they're going to be using that space to advertise their next fundraiser, which is a summer reading program T-shirt fundraiser. And then in March, maybe half of the display will be sale for, again, those things that trickle in discards, but the other half will be promoting the community read. And in April, we'll be promoting the egg hunt. So it's not strictly book sale, but it is space for them to be advertising
Good.
whatever it is they are selling for a fundraiser to keep some money coming in.
And also, so people still stay in the habit of buying things from the Friends.
Clears out the space. Unfortunately, though, when there's no room, like now, and somebody leaves a box of old books next to the book drop for them to get rained on,
That's
we have to throw them away.
Well, the thing that
So
I've
we really
noticed-
can't take
The thing that I
donations.
noticed about Framingham, these are all seller books. I mean,
Yeah.
they're like they're beautiful. I give them away as gifts.
We do have people who buy a new hardcover, read it, and bring it in and say, "Can the library use this?" And often we've already bought like a copy for our 1 week turnover shelf and a copy for the collection. And yeah, if it's a bestseller, sure we'll add it if we can, but it'll just go on the shelf and sell for $1.
Or $2. That's what
A
I said,
dollar.
Framingham. I
That's
think it should be $2.
that's you need to go to the Friends meeting and tell them. that. I can't change their price list.
Yeah, I'd be happy if you would connect with Carrie about that.
Send it to them.
Yeah.
I mean, because it's just a bookcase, but I mean, the turnover's got to be quick. Because I never go in. I go in once a week, and
Yeah.
I do not see the same books. They're always new books.
How do you handle the payment in the current space?
Well, we a few years ago we bought cash. They bought one cash register and we bought another, so we're just ringing it into the register.
So they just go into the main.
Yeah, they do have an option to
Yeah.
PayPal though, as well. Pardon. So
But PayPal charges, right?
a little bit.
Small percentage.
Yeah,
It's all relative.
3 or
5%.
5% or something.
Yeah. So if you're
It adds
the
up.
convenience fee. So yeah, if you don't have cash, use your phone, log into PayPal. Because there's an option to donate the membership levels, but then you can also,
Okay.
Okay.
make a donation of any amount and you just put a note that it's book sale.
Yeah. Thank you for mentioning. All right, I think I'd like, in the effort of time, I'd like to move on. So, do we have I know we don't have a garden at the moment.
Well,
Anything to mention?
Very pretty.
I think right now we're just in the midst of bad weather, and
Mhm.
I have noticed that, like this morning when I passed by, that it really needed to be salted. It was very slick. Really, there's not much to say. Everything's either covered with snow or ice,
Okay.
Good.
and we got everything prepared, and that's about it.
Beth Patch put together beautiful seasonal urns at the doors in time for Grafton Celebrates the Holidays and a really
neat.
lovely garland that has ornaments and bells hanging from it that people are very, very taken with. And we got 3 comments about November, about the library and the pumpkins and the scarecrow and the the Goonies, whatever, the Ghoulies. So people really are noticing and enjoying it and appreciating it.
Beth, you're really talented.
Yeah, and that's such a really kind of a unique space because
Yeah.
it sees all the foot traffic.
Yeah, everybody walk by it. It's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
It's fun.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Okay, any noise complaints in the current space?
No, but we took doors off of the rooms
Yeah,
because people were closing the doors.
You
So
mentioned that.
I think that might have been last month though.
yep. Okay. Space issues, space concerns, is the space you have working?
Well enough for what it is, yeah.
Mhm.
Except for the parking lot, which is next.
Did they, I mean, I know I missed the last 2 meetings, but did the lighting in the kind of aisles get fixed yet? Or did you come up with a,
So
Better
somebody
idea.
on the board was going to give me a proposal for the lighting in the aisle.
was that
Yeah.
me?
I think it
I
was.
don't
think it was
know. Rope lighting or spotlighting or
Yeah, it
something.
might have been.
Yeah.
I think I think it was Katie had an issue.
Oh.
So she's no longer on
Oh,
board.
yeah, I think you are right. It was Kate.
So my quick solution, which people are using,
work.
I bought 6 little flashlights, like really strong
Oh,
LED
yeah.
flashlights that are on a hook. So they're sort of every other aisle for people to grab and
I'm
scan
glad
down.
they're
so
using
they
them.
can see.
I used it at
Yeah.
Wills.
And then in a pinch, if for some reason we don't have parking lot lights, people can grab it and take it out to the car, be escorted to the car. Staff can bring them back the next morning or run them back to the building.
You think you really don't need it, but when you turn the
It's-
flashlight
it's a
on,
bit-
you
yeah,
can't
it
believe
makes a
how
big
much more you
difference.
can see.
Yeah, it's like when my kids are reading in the dark and you turn on the light and they go, "That's much better."
Yes.
Shocking.
So do you think there's a need for someone else to look for other solutions?
If someone wants to price out rope lighting or LED lighting that does not need to be plugged into anything to drape down the shelves, I think it might be helpful. But I feel like you'd have to do it on every single shelf. It's just
Right. You'd
not
have it,
strong enough, and it's dark, and yeah.
yeah, you'd have it too many bright spots and then too many dim spots.
Right.
So have
And I
to
don't-
even-
Shadows and stuff, yeah.
Yeah.
And unless you want to use rope lighting all over the new building, I don't know how much it's worth the investment.
Yep.
If flashlights are working, great.
You guys should come in at night,
Yeah, we
go
should.
down the aisle,
Yeah.
and for people placing books back on the shelves, it's dark.
Mining helmets.
Headlamp.
But
yeah.
just saying that if you really want to have a
should
good
come- you're
picture,
right.
you need to come over there at night and see what it's really like.
Right.
You know how many feet of shelving is in that main room? I can't remember when we got those from the other site.
I could put my hands on it, but I don't know it off the top of my head.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, food for thought. I mean, I don't think we have any strong candidates for ideas at the moment. But I think it's a challenge. We should definitely keep at the forefront of our minds because I don't disagree. You know.
It's only gonna get worse as it gets darker, right?
Well, only for another week, and then it's
Oh,
going
then
to turn
another
around.
week.
Start getting lighter.
11 days, right? What's today?
21st, and then it'll
Yeah,
after the solstice.
it's the 18th, so 3 days.
Okay.
It is really dark at 4 o'clock.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Let's move on to the lighting in the parking lot after dark. So we currently have a unit from the town that is gas powered, and someone from the town helps turn it on and off from time
Sometimes.
to time. But the staff have been trained on how to.
And they're really struggling, including me. You think it's going to turn over, and it just and
Yeah.
does. They tried for an hour. I told them that I needed to know by 3:30 because town hall closes at 4:30, and if I'm there at 3:30, I will take a look. But I have to leave at 2:30 to get my kid off the bus 2 days a week. So someone else has to be thinking about it. So I did get an email, I think Thursday or Friday last week, at 5 o'clock that they had been trying since 4 o'clock to get it to turn over and kick because they were waiting for somebody to show up by 3:30, which is usually when they come, 3:45, and nobody showed up. And I said, I'm so sorry. I needed to know that an hour ago so that I could have taken care of it. And I will send your note that you think it might be out of gas to the DPW guy, but he's off the clock, so there's nothing that I can do about it right now. I'm so sorry.
So how many nights do you think has it not been on?
It wasn't
2
on
to
Monday.
3. Yeah.
It wasn't on Monday.
It wasn't on
It
Monday
wasn't
either.
on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Monday.
And it's because
Okay.
it's running out of gas, mostly?
The gas
Or it
tank is
doesn't
full, and
always
the
start.
pink, I don't know what the pink liquid is, they're both full. Or were when I looked and I tried it a week and a half ago, whatever that last, the 10th, whatever that last storm was, the 9th or 10th, yeah. Was the last time I tried it. It is hard to get it to kick over. I've done it successfully, and I've also not been able to do it. And if I go out and I try at 3:30, I still have an hour to get somebody to come and do it for me, because I am not able to do it. And I've also seen them stop by and put gas into it, so they're aware, the DPW guys, or it may be people on the building staff here who are at the end of their shift here. So I don't know which department they're coming from, highway or here, to take care of it.
Well,
And is there, I thought we had talked about at the building committee, a long-term solution on that pole.
There is a long, so again, we've been waiting for the electrician, DMH, who the town has retained, waiting for them to finish other jobs and come over, and they did come over, and they were here Monday. And they don't know, I think they didn't have a bucket truck or ladder that would reach. So they took a bunch of zoomed in photos and have ordered a bunch of different parts, ranging from fixing the bulb, fixing the fuse, fixing the total structure.
Yeah, that's
and
smart.
we'll be here on Friday morning
yeah.
to either fix or replace it. Pray it doesn't snow.
And if that
That
fixes
floodlight
it,
should fix it, and then we'll take away the diesel, and it'll, I assume, be on a timer, but I don't know. I will be there Friday morning at 8:30 to deal with it.
Can you
So.
put it on an early timer, like at 3?
It will, yeah, I mean, ideally, yes, it would be on a timer. That it either knows a solar timer, or we schedule it and can shift it as the season
Yeah.
changes, so that we're not, I don't want it to come on at 2:30 in the afternoon if it doesn't need to. But it's gotta stay on, till 9:45.
Well, that's fantastic.
So there's
news.
progress, it's just been so slow.
Yeah.
It's hopeful.
Yeah, if there is feeling that it, especially with it being dark and icy and not, there's nobody except for the staff to de-ice and shovel the parking lot when there is weather or a buildup or the temperature drops. So I would need this board to be proactive, telling me that I need to close because it's not safe for staff and patrons. Because I feel like if it comes from me, it's just doesn't have as much weight.
And is that, now what is that just the way it is? It has nothing to do with the lighting?
It's partly light. So if no one comes and turns on the light,
Right.
and we have Dungeons and Dragons, and we have teenagers coming, and it's January, and there's also no de-icing that's been done in the parking lot because everyone's gone home because it's Friday.
Yeah, we will have.
I don't want to get
Safety
flack and
rules.
feedback though for why is the library closing again?
Yeah.
Because it's not safe. There's no lights and it's slippery.
Okay.
can we not have a third party that we can call that can come and do the,
You would have to
Sand
put out
and
an
salt.
ad and hire somebody, and I don't have the money in the library budget to take care of that.
Does anybody
And
have?
we're a town
yeah.
department.
Yeah.
It's just Friday nights though, pretty much.
It's
No.
Monday, it's Tuesday.
Thursday, Friday,
we have
Saturday, Sunday.
So no one's coming.
Nobody came
After
since
4:30.
Thursday to start that.
Okay.
Well,
de-icing.
No, but I'm saying.
We're talking about
There's
the
no one
other
after
part.
4:30 to de-ice except for my staff.
Okay, and any day of the week. Well, then
And,
that's a
and that
big issue.
the large,
It's always been an issue.
handicap space on the right near Donna's office
Yeah.
was very icy. No matter what they did, it was remained very icy. I don't know if there's something that's coming down that's causing it to re-ice, but
but what does DPW or Tim say about
Yeah,
those
because-
after hours?
we
Because they
know-
have to
They
be,
know that those are our hours,
Yeah.
and we have to
We're
be
keeping
open
up with
for
it as
hours.
best we can. You're in the rotation.
which I don't doubt, but when it's from 5 o'clock to 9 or 8 o'clock, when the library's 9 o'clock till the library's still open,
Yeah.
So
What would happen if we were closing? Could we get into trouble with our certification?
No, because you would have to reduce your hours to under, I think, 50 for more than 6 months of the year.
Okay,
Oh,
all right.
yeah.
So no.
Well, then, do you think we need to, as a board, come up with a policy and tell you what we want you to do?
That might be helpful. Yeah.
well, and I think Beth also
Yeah.
wants
I don't know if
it
it's
not
part of
always to
inclement
be
weather.
all on her shoulders
No,
every
no,
time.
I-
She
that's
wants
why
to be able
I
to
think-
consult with some of us to
Yeah,
agree with.
I think we need a policy, and then maybe somebody for Beth to contact.
could I just interject for a moment?
We have an inclement weather policy, but it doesn't say that.
We do.
So
It isn't.
But it's
the
different
inclement
now.
weather policy is that if the lot is not sand or salted, we cannot be open. But what happens when I get staff there, the town is open, schools are closed, we're supposed to be open, but no one is coming to take care of the lot, and patrons are not out and about. So we opened from 10 to 1 on Tuesday, and we should have just stayed closed.
Yeah.
But I feel very strong pressure to be open when the town is open.
Well, I would agree. I mean, I think if the town office is open, then the library should be open, but not if it's
Yeah.
not safe.
But they
of course.
have a custodian here.
Right,
when they're
that's what I
open.
mean.
Yeah,
They
so
have
if it's
someone that
not
can handle
safe,
that.
We have to go by safety. What if someone comes and falls and hurts themselves, or we get a staff has been accident in the parking lot?
Somebody did 2 years ago. She's still having
I
issues.
know that,
Yeah.
and that's
And it's a little more difficult at the current location than the old because it's on a hill.
Steep.
absolutely,
Oh.
absolutely, it's not the same.
Once we're open and there are cars parked, you can't get a sander or plow truck up and around because the cars are in the way.
Oh, that's right. You were
It
telling
becomes very, it becomes very narrow. And sometimes they can get a smaller truck. What happened the last time they sent a smaller plow is it got stuck. And then they had to get a bigger truck in to unstick the plow. Yeah, so it's just a really poor location for winter weather.
me. Well, I think we.
But that's why I was
we write
thinking,
them-
if we hired someone that has a pickup truck, a company that does the sanding and salting on a private level, they can come in with a pickup truck and back up there and back down. I mean, I understand it's
But how
an
often
additional
do we have
cost.
to do that? Like we have to do that every night? That would be
And
like
who-
5 times.
We're gonna have. a
Whose
rough
job does it
winter.
become to quote that out or bid it out, hire the person, call the person?
And how much could that be?
Um,
that be
Probably it's pretty expensive.
$200 a night, maybe.
More.
And is winter gonna be over by the time
And that's
we get through
1,000.
that
It's
process?
about
We can't afford that.
$200 to $500 to do a lot, maybe that size per storm, to do plowing and sanding, salting. When I was on the board of trustees for our condo association, that's about what it would cost every time you would come out.
I'm not worried about
$300
plowing. If there's
plow.
that much snow, should be closed. I'm thinking about those days like today where
Yeah, so
everything's
Intermittent.
melting and there's just water sitting around and it turns to ice.
Yes,
Yes.
about $200.
Yeah. And I do want to say, Kevin, who's in charge of highway department and from DPW, I have his text. Like I can text him. He is really responsive, but he doesn't have enough people to deploy to keep up with all the buildings and roads he needs to do, and he hasn't made us a low priority. But so he can get there to get us open, but it's the coming back and keeping on top of it. I
Well,
think that's
let me
hard.
ask you this. On these days, do you get many patrons coming in? Because maybe what we should do is just create a policy and make a decision. It sounds to me like we could spend a lot of money for not very many, for not much usage.
Yeah,
And that
so-
wouldn't be a good use of our money.
Our door count was at 20 people at 1:00 on Tuesday, and we had I think 5 or 6 staff. So there were 14 people total from 10 to 1, and when I talked to them, there were 2 in the building at 1:00 when we decided that we were going to close.
So like
So I had to
15
shoo out 2 people,
15 patrons.
14 or 15 patrons, yeah, in 3 hours,
And through-
which is low. We usually see 80 or more a day.
So can I make a suggestion?
Yeah.
So, I think what I'm hearing, from Beth is, she doesn't want to feel like it's all on her to decide to close the library if she feels it's unsafe, right? So, I think what would be helpful, because we're all at work, but we also want to support you.
Yeah.
We're not at the library. Sometimes we're not in Grafton. We don't know what the conditions are. I mean.
Sometimes I know.
Yeah, exactly, right.
Sometimes
So,
I'm not.
so we're kind of relying on a communication stream. Certainly that communication conduit is you, because your staff will tell you, and at the same time you tell us. So sometimes, I'll get texts, which is good, and usually it's a group text with I think, I don't know
Yeah,
who's on the-
Tim and Kevin
Tim-
and Bob
Tim
Berger
and Kevin.
usually. Yeah.
Right, but if it's a decision that we as a board need to say, tell the town that this is unsafe. It's been, communicated to us that it's unsafe. We want to close the library. Would you prefer that comes from us? And I think that's what I'm hearing is that decision needs to come from us as a board. So how do we, knowing, we're all in geographic
Well, we do.
different locations, how can we better support that process?
I think we create the policy and then we
Yeah.
just say that.
Well, we
I'm not
have the
sure-
policy.
I'm not sure it
We
needs
have
to be in
a
the
policy.
policy.
For weather.
Yeah,
But it has to
for
be
weather.
for if there's icy conditions and it just seems to me that this particular lot, it's, you know, the location of where we are now is a bit different. And it's just, because like what Doug was saying, it might be plowed, but it may be icy. So I think we need to have some kind of a new documentation policy. And then I think we should just, as a board, agree that if Beth feels it's unsafe, then we should close the library. She could call one of us to confirm it. That's what we used to do when we didn't have enough staff back in 2009. I used to get calls and they used to say, we don't have enough staff, what do you think? And I'd say, we'll close it then. Because if you only have one person, you can't keep the library open, and that's what we did.
Yeah, and that's a whole separate issue. If the town is open and we're supposed to be open, but staff feel it's not safe, then they just call out, which they can do, and then use their leave time, which is fine. And
Yeah,
then we
but I'm
get
just
to a
saying
no
that's
staffing,
different.
and then we rely on a different policy. We have a low staffing issue.
Yeah, no,
We're
that's
just gonna
different,
close.
but I'm just saying it worked in that context. And all we did is, we had the policy, and then I would get a call from the librarian, and then I would say, yes, close, and we close. And it was,
Yes.
it was,
But that's,
But
considered a
that's
group.
coming from you, which I think is what needs to happen. It needs to come from the board. So
Yes.
that Beth doesn't, because she's a town employee, she doesn't feel like she's telling the town, you know, her boss is
well,
like.
it was coming, because we would consult, and then I would say yes, but I didn't get on the phone and talk to anybody. The library director then took care of it.
Well, and then here's
And
another
they-
thing.
the person could say, the board has said we should be closed.
Yeah. So Tim has asked me to consult with you and with DPW first. Like, talk to Kevin, find out when he can plow, and then give a proposal to me for what you're looking for, to close early, to delay, whatever. But I hear from Kevin, the roads are slush, they're just wet. This was Tuesday morning. The roads are just wet. It's fine. But the temperature dropped. And now staff who are driving in from Worcester, from North Grafton, whatever, are telling me it's icy and slippery. So it's conflicting reports. Eileen's telling me that she's out there salting, but it's too much, and she called someone in to come and help her, and when I talked to Tim, he said, I was just there 20 minutes ago, and it was sanded and salted, and it's fine. So I'm getting conflicting information, too, which just makes it really hard.
Well, I think the person there should be is what I would go with, because they're right there, the conditions might change.
And last
And that was a
Tuesday-
day where people really, that was a day where we had off, people were driving all around. I heard
Yeah.
from the
No,
kids.
last Tuesday was horrid.
awful.
A 20-minute drive took me over an hour to get from Grafton to Worcester.
I know, but I'm just saying, people in Grafton were driving around, that's what I heard. I actually went out for a quick spin. But I'm just saying, I think the person that's there, I would go with what they say, they're right there, the conditions are unique, it's right there for that parking lot.
but I thought the current policy said that you would contact the DPW,
Yeah.
Tim, and the presumably Aaron.
Yeah.
And then, can't you just, I mean, regardless of what the other two say, I mean,
Yeah.
Eric can say, I agree with you and you should close.
I think it's more about it wasn't icy, it's now 5 o'clock. Can I just close?
Yeah.
And what happens when we close 4 nights in a row? Because it's presumably the light issue is going to be fixed, right?
Yeah, that's good.
Friday. So I won't be closing because it's too dark, which just really
Well,
it sounds
today's
stupid. but
Wednesday, if it's not fixed tomorrow, I don't think you should be open, do you? I don't think you
That's what
should
I'm
be,
asking.
it's too dangerous.
It's supposed to be 20 degrees and feel like freeze. So it's going to be freezing icy anyway.
I wouldn't be open tomorrow with no lights. I see what the board thinks, but I think that's dangerous.
Well, that doesn't mean there's not gonna be any lights tomorrow.
I just thought you said there weren't no
Well-
lights, not until Friday.
It's because
If
they
they
haven't,
turn
they've
on
had trouble getting it on. It doesn't mean that doesn't work.
Oh, so it might work tomorrow, we don't know.
Right,
Okay.
right. So
Another issue, if they're out plowing, they don't have or icing, sanding, they don't have time to come by and mess
Yeah.
with the lights.
Yeah.
So
But if they're not doing that, can you get the DPW over there by like 3 o'clock? Is that
There's-
possible?
they're supposed to.
They're supposed to. Yeah,
I think if they're not there
yeah.
and it's dark, then go through the system and I would not be open. I don't think I don't think it's gonna be to anybody's advantage. Someone steps out on that and they fall. It's terrible.
Car slips.
Yeah, or car slips, which could be really bad.
Yeah.
So can we have does email work better than group text? Because text is a conversation where, hey, it's icy over here, I think we need to close, you know, and then, you know, Tim's on there and maybe he doesn't feel you need to close. But if an email comes to the board, you know, then we can say, you know, forward off to Tim, we're gonna close the library because it's too icy, and then it's done, and then you don't have to worry about it. You just close. I don't know how you guys feel about that.
Sounds
I
good.
personally
I
check
think-
my texts much more than I check my
Yeah.
email.
I do too, but I mean
It's
they both
instantaneous.
pop up on my phone. But I feel like
Yeah.
an email is, hey, we need to close the library because it's unsafe over here.
Yeah.
And then we say, yep, let's close the library, and then it's done. It's
It's like a
pa-
more
it's
formal
paperwork.
record, basically.
Right.
Yeah.
That
The
too.
formal
It
record
is a
and-
record.
Because
And we could just say
yeah.
to the current conditions, we're at the location's current conditions,
Conditions.
period.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It might be okay on the other side of Grafton, but it isn't there.
Right. Especially in that parking lot
Yeah.
on that hill.
Yeah, and if you want to text, that's
Yeah.
fine. But I think an email
Okay.
should come to the board. And we
Okay.
can say, yep. We're
Well, that's
closing.
true. If it's an email to the entire board, then if one person happens to be in town and knows that it's bad, they can say,
Okay.
yes, I'm here, I agree.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and close it.
And then,
The custodian that's currently there, how often is he on site?
So he's not under my direction,
Right.
first of all.
Okay.
He puts in about 15 hours a week, usually like 7:30 to 10:30, 5 days a week. So here's another. So he comes in and he vacuums and he cleans the bathroom and he restocks. But if there's snow removal, he can't come to my building to do any of the general cleanup. He gets pulled to go do snow removal and is put in the rotation, which is fine. We're not gonna die if we didn't get the vacuuming in. It's okay. And I don't mind giving him up. But I also can't assign him. We know there's a storm coming. Forget cleaning the place. I need you to come in from 9 to 10 to do our snow blowing and shoveling, and then can you take a break and come back from 2 to 3? I can't dictate or structure his day really. So, that's why I put in a custodial position.
Oh, because he's with,
Right.
He works for building department.
okay.
Okay. 8 o'clock.
right.
I think we have at least a different plan of attack
Okay.
for ice units.
Okay.
Beth, what would you like to have done? You want to email? Is that what?
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
Just for the official record, I think helps.
Okay.
And that'll help back you up.
And knowing that I don't have to wait for, no offense at all, for Aaron or Karen to respond, because it says in the policy, check with the chairs. And
Yeah.
as long as everyone else doesn't feel inundated.
Yep.
I mean, it's not going to be a lot of messages, but
I mean, and I would think you're here, if you're telling us the conditions are bad,
yeah, again, sometimes I'm homesick.
well, somebody.
Sometimes I'm in a meeting
An
off-site.
associate of yours,
Yes.
one of your.
I trust my
somebody-
staff,
A staff member lets
Yeah.
us know it's unsafe and they're not, we're gonna go with what they, we're not gonna jump in our car and drive over here and make sure.
Yeah.
We're gonna trust it. I mean, I could be there like in 10 minutes, but.
You're right. And I like the idea of including everybody because, yeah, sometimes the
Yeah.
two of us might be in a meeting or something and just don't see it
Okay.
Yep.
right away. So
Thank you.
out of all of us, somebody's probably going to see
It's
it.
good.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. So we covered 2 items, which is
Yeah.
fantastic. I think we talked about the library lighting in the parking lot and the snow and ice cleanup.
Yeah.
Do we have an update for the parking lot expansion? Doug, I think the last
I emailed Tim again after last week, and he basically said the same thing, that they
Yeah.
haven't heard back from the owner of that lot.
yeah.
Yeah.
He didn't, I mean, I CC Beth on that email, I
Yeah.
think. Kind of said, can we just do it
nice.
if we didn't hear from them, but
Yeah.
he didn't respond to that piece.
Yeah, he didn't respond when I said that either. Okay.
Well,
I
You
don't really
tried.
know what to say. Well, I mean,
Did they
it's,
call him or write to him? What did they do? Do we know?
I don't know how they tried to track them down. It did get passed to me that if I wanted to reach out on behalf of the town on Facebook, I could do that. So I did twice. And I also sent a friend request to sort of pop, hey, look at your messages. I've been just ignored. So,
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I think we've done all that we can.
we do spend time every day almost to go out and ask somebody to move their illegally parked car.
Where's the illegally parked cars?
Oh, it
generally?
depends.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's behind a staff car and blocking staff cars down at the end.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's in the striped space, which we need to leave free for a handicapped van. Because even though a van exit might be on the other side, they can back in.
Yep.
Sometimes it's just somebody who's parked between 2 spaces on the line. Or the new thing is next to the handicap space, one over on the curve. And sometimes it's on the curve, and actually staff have asked if I could get a sign that says no parking, because once we have snow and ice,
They were trying to
So-
park on Saturday
Yeah.
by Donna's, right there,
and that's a walkway.
right there.
That's what, yeah. So people are just very creative and resourceful. But now that we've asked staff to not park off-site and walk through the untreated sidewalk, we are very limited in parking and still trying to do all of the programs that we do. I suggested February vacation programs be off-site. because of parking.
Excellent.
Yeah, I think you need to.
Sarah's idea, actually. I just said, yes, we should do that. I agree.
Okay,
So-
very good.
We're doing the best we can.
So, on to new business. We have a vacancy on the board. And we have a visitor tonight who's learning a little bit more about what it means to be a library trustee.
He hasn't left yet.
So I certainly welcome you to just introduce yourself if you'd like.
Come on up.
Yeah, come on.
This is not an interview at all.
Oh, no.
Not at all.
I would have wanted to see.
Just, and just
My name's Martin Essner. My wife and I moved to Grafton about a year and a half ago. From Wayland, which rejected twice a library construction or reconstruction or improvement. And it wasn't one of the motivating reasons we left, but it certainly was a reason why we didn't stay.
wow.
Well, I mean, we both retired. It was time to move to that condo in the sky
Yeah.
that makes life easier. And I sort of always wanted to move. We keep moving west anyway, so I don't know how long we're gonna wind before we wind up in the Berkshires. But, I'm a retired attorney. I've done work worked on nonprofits. I've also done work representing nonprofits. I was going to the library today to pick up a book that I had been waiting for 2 months because it was like 190th in line for it, but I was very patient. And I was doing a lot of errands, and I said, gee, I don't even know how late they're open. So I checked on the website, and I saw this thing about a trustee vacancy. And I said to myself, well, I've been here a year and a half. I really haven't gotten very much involved in the town at all. And they can politely say to me, this isn't working, Marty, after 5 months. Or I can say any number of things. But I lived in Newton when they were building the new Ted Mann library. I mean, Ted Mann was alive at the time, right? As I said, I was very disappointed about the situation in Wayland. And I like libraries. I just really have a strong, my middle child is a librarian in Denver, which is not why I like libraries, and maybe why she likes libraries. And I think they're really important parts of a community. I think they're not more important than the school system, but they're really up there because the library is, you do a lot of children's things, but it's a community resource if you let it be the community resource, or you're given the budget for it to be a community resource, which is always, budget is everything. I mean, we all know that. I don't have to pretend I don't know that. But I've seen the things with probably an unlimited budget that Newton did, and it was just fabulous. I mean, you can go to a piano recital on a Sunday afternoon. I wonder, just though, what your usage is. The fact that I'm just listening, if you don't mind me just relating back things. There are about, what, 13,000 people in Grafton?
18.
18,000.
18,000.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't realize it's that big. How many households?
10,000.
10,000 households?
10,000 households, yeah. The census
That's a
goes out
lot
to
of
10,000
households for
households.
18,000 people.
Yep.
A lot of
There's-
empty
A lot of
nesters,
condos too, though.
Yeah, retirees.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Grafton Schools, 8,000 kids? Might be around 8,000 children.
I don't know,
Yeah.
but we could look it up if you look.
Well,
up
I'm just trying to, I mean, of course, I'm gonna do a lot of projecting because I like libraries. I think that everybody likes libraries, but
Yeah.
I was really surprised to find out that a lot of people don't know that it's not a new library under construction, which was brought up. And is there another big construction project going on in Grafton that there is?
Yeah, DPW is getting a brand new facility from the ground up.
And everybody's gonna use that.
Yes.
Well, you know what, I think.
Everyone will benefit from it,
I'm
absolutely.
sure, no, I'm sure they will.
They will.
But I
But the
mean,
public can't walk into it like.
Do you know,
in
I
our
think the
building.
difference is that because we moved and we're almost out of town in the new,
Yeah.
in the temporary location, and it took a while, obviously because we had to get all the approvals. It's a historic building, we had historic, Mass Historic Commission had given us money, so we had a restriction on it, historic restriction, so we had to go through all of these approvals, and now, we finally had the groundbreaking, so it's just been, there's been a little lag, that's all. And I may have been exaggerating, so, but,
I mean, because
it's just that we hear from time to time that people come into the library and they're like, wow.
was there
moved.
a town referendum or vote to approve?
Oh,
this?
yes.
So that's
Oh, yeah, we
great.
got all of
And
that.
that passed fairly easily?
Well, no,
Wonderful.
after 20 years.
30.
It was up for
30?
vote 20 years in a row?
Oh,
No.
1997, 2011, and then when we did it in 2017, it passed overwhelmingly.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's nice to know, actually.
yeah. Yeah.
There's a lot of support for the library, I believe.
Is there a marketing plan in effect now to stir the interest in the new library?
Not yet. That would be part of our 2021 to 2025 long-range plan, which we need to start working on in January.
When's the library when's it supposed to be done and ready for usage?
Say that again?
When is the new construction to be done?
Early 2021.
Early 2020. It could be January, it could be March, April, May.
All right, so.
Depends on how the winter goes.
We're talking about the middle of summer, probably.
Probably
The
for
middle
the
of
new
the summer?
well,
On 20, things don't
Yeah.
get.
they're
done in
saying
Yeah.
January, which is, I think, April. I think
April?
April. I'm optimistically saying April unless we have a really tough winter.
No, it's really
But
nice if things get.
they're expecting by-
There's-
I know.
I mean, it's worse than an oil tank being discovered in the underground is bad, but things
Really
happen.
wasn't that
Yeah.
bad
You know,
either.
steel isn't ready.
It's on order. They're fabricating steel.
Well, anyway.
They're expecting to have the envelope, the roof on and the walls up by April 2020. And then the full next year almost, or next 9 months will be paint and plaster and wiring and electrical and HVAC and solar panel wiring and landscaping at the very end.
Well,
So,
the fact that you're building a new library is very exciting to me. I don't know what the process is for me to actually make an application for this position. Maybe someone can tell me,
Yeah,
Online.
figure it
Yeah,
out.
you and I can chat afterwards.
Sure.
yeah, you do have to fill out a town volunteer form. So that post that you read on our website has a link right to it. And it's just a fill in the fields form. And I think it gets forwarded to Board of Selectmen. They invite you to a
I
meeting
did
and
that myself.
they appoint you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Martin.
Thanks for
Nice to
coming.
meet
Very
you.
much.
Thank you.
You're welcome to continue staying if you'd
I
like.
will, I just sort of don't want to.
No worries.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Okay. Well, that was great. I have next on the agenda action plan. Is that
That's a good
the?
segue.
Yes, that's the 2021 to 2025.
Yeah. So we're required to have a 5-year plan on file with the Mass Board of Library Commissioners. It allows us to apply for new grants and to keep our grant, our construction grant. We need to have an updated long-range plan because ours finishes in 2020. And then additionally, every year you also have to do an action plan that takes your goals and objectives and puts specific actions and activities in. So that's due every December. And I just did one and sent it to MBLC. I sent it to the board to look at. There's no penalty for not doing everything in the plan. They recognize things change. The strategic plan is formed by committee. So usually there's 2 focus group meetings, one to talk about the community and what it needs, and then the next, based on the community needs that came out of that last meeting, what are the library's service priorities going to be for the next 5 years? And the last 5 years, it's been, I think, collections, programs, marketing, which I think we've failed the most on, and facility, but which is both online facility, 24/7 access to the building, as well as a physical facility, which with the grant, like we're going leaps and bounds in the facilities section. And it could be that we will have those same, under those 4 categories, there were actually 6 service roles, like gateway to preschool learning and being a community center. We could decide that we're focusing on adult learning the next time around, or services to new Americans. So there's about 21 different roles that public libraries can take. So it would be the job of this community committee to kind of hone down those roles and come up with a few goals. But the director usually it's facilitated by somebody from out of town who doesn't have any vested interest. So I suggested a library director that I know who does this on the side could come in and do it. She synthesizes information and feeds it to the library director. The library director, with guidance from Board of Trustees, then takes those roles and formulates them into overall goals and objectives and spends the summer writing, presents it to the board in August, maybe they ask questions, bring it back in September, vote on it in September so that we can file it for October 1st. And then we have 2 months to take from that new 5-year plan, extrapolate the next year's work and do an action plan due December 1st to Mass Board of Library Commissioners. And then we repeat the action plan process every year.
And it is 2021. We're talking about next summer?
We're talking about, I need to file it so in October 2020, it's due, the plan that will start in January 2021 and run through December 2025. And
Due in October 20.
due in October 20. And the last time we did it, we had, we spent January trying to come up with names, and we picked meetings in February and April, which kind of coincided with vacation week. We met on a Saturday morning, which does not work for me anymore.
That wasn't that good.
I'd rather do an evening, and usually people do evenings. And then I wrote it, we looked at it, and we submitted it on time.
Now, was this
But it's
the
a year-long planning
stakeholders meeting
process.
we did? The
Yeah.
stakeholders
So we
meeting.
would
Yeah,
have to do
stay-
that this
keys-
summer
yes.
then.
Yeah.
So I'm proposing March and May, actually, because we're getting a late start on gathering names of people to invite. So, and stakeholders we usually have a representative from the board, a representative from the Friends. We may or may not want a separate capital campaign representative because you do have representation here, but maybe you do. A representative from the staff, usually somebody from the school system. We invite Jake, I think we invited Jay Cummings, but maybe he wasn't able to come. Somebody from the select board, people who are leaders in the community, whether they're heading an organization like Grafton Land Trust or Apple Tree Arts, or they might be spiritual leaders. We could invite, I suggested Zach Kersey might be great, the Methodist pastor.
And we had the tweens.
Good.
We had
some
at least
kids.
one teenager. Yeah, so I sent out an email that detailed, here's the mix we're looking for the committee. It should be 15 is ideal, but if we have a few more, it's okay. People really should not be coming and sitting and watching the meeting.
Yeah.
They're invited and they're
That's right.
participating, and it's a closed meeting. And we follow an ALA publication called Planning for Results, written by Sandra Nelson, that gets updated every 10 years or so, and that's it has all the sort of the guiding principles and the idea that you don't just grab, say, Newton is amazing. We don't have the budget, though, you're right. So we can't take Newton's awesome long-range plan and just change everything that says Newton to
Yeah, we
Grafton.
don't want to do that.
You can't do that for policy either.
Yeah,
Every
that'd be
community is different. So really, we should have a list of names of people to invite, and I sent out a draft letter as well by our next meeting in January. And then I already talked to the person who I'd like to hire, and she's available the 2 or 3 dates I suggested. So in addition to the 2 community meetings, she would also have a breakout session with library staff, and then sort of compare all that information and see where we're all in agreement and where we're not, and cut some things out.
And who pays for that? Is that already? in
That
the
usually
budget?
comes from state aid. It's not in the library budget.
That's what I thought.
Yeah. It's $1,200. I think she would have to do 3 sessions, so I think 1,200 is very reasonable.
Yeah.
So the long range 5-year plan that we had last time was very ambitious.
It was.
Right.
They're always
So, which is good. It's always good.
Yeah.
Is part of that process reviewing that and figured out what's left that we didn't get to that's still relevant? I mean, obviously it has to still be relevant. That we could put
Yeah.
into the next group.
It could be. Yeah.
And so if it's a 5-year plan, when
It'd
does
be
it
really
start? Because,
January 2021.
2021.
okay, because we're
2021,
going to be.
22, 23, 24. So yeah, here's the thing. It's going to start
Yeah.
before the new building
That's right.
opens.
Right.
And it could change. So if we have broad goals, so goals have to have measurable objectives.
Well, you can make some
But you can make it
assumptions
broad.
what's going to happen with the
Okay,
new
because
building, right?
you were saying the new, most likely April to June 2021.
Yeah. But one of the things, I mean, staff come to me all the time and they say, we need to start a makerspace. And I say, you're right, we do. It's not in the long range plan. We have a thing about doing more DIY programs, but that's not a makerspace. And we're not building one in the new library. So it's a fantastic idea. We don't have the resources and the time to pursue that because it's not in the plan. Bring me new ideas, great, but it has to align with,
Right.
with
So
where
that
we're
could be in the
headed.
plan if we think it's appropriate.
Yes.
But I was just thinking, so we might have 6 months if we're being conservative of in the old building and then in the new building. And we're gonna have to get used to being in the new building. That's a lot to go through. It's kind of strange a little bit.
We did
Yeah.
well
But, yeah.
transitioning from the library on the common to St.
Yes.
Andrews. We did
And
very well.
I will say, the plan that I inherited when I came in, I think 7 years ago, actually, it's 7 years to the day, was also very ambitious. There were 40 things on there. And I think by it was 2016 plan, I think it must have run through.
2016, yeah.
Yeah. We did everything except build a new building.
That was in there?
That was in
That
there.
was in there.
And there were other things that were like in the new building, add more programming,
yeah,
add
yeah.
more.
Oh,
stuff.
yeah.
So, but we hit those numbers for programs and circulation without the facility.
Wow.
Cool.
That's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah. This time around, like I said, we had this whole, we're going to focus on this group for marketing and that group for marketing. We did a lot of marketing and publicity, but we didn't tailor it to channels like I had intended. So that's lacking. We never
we did a
launched,
lot.
we never launched 1,000 books before kindergarten. Yeah, so I think maybe a discussion in January around should this board be the ones to evaluate that plan and bring to the meeting what to add back in? Because I think it might take a lot of time to throw it back out to the community. So here's what the people who aren't in the room anymore voted on 5-6 years ago. Should we pursue it or not? I would rather have them come up with fresh current ideas, I think.
I agree.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
agree completely.
And if there are recurring items that are good to do again, then I'm sure we want to
Yeah.
include
Yep.
those.
Yeah.
Can we
Yep.
add that grant back in for the grant that Allison and I were working on?
Unfortunately, no, I don't think so. We can't until this grant process with the new building is finished. We're not, so being under construction, we cannot apply for any other Mass Board of Library Commissioner grants because it's already a huge project. You could apply for outside funding from somewhere else.
But could we add it to the 2021,
Yes,
2025 at some point?
yeah, as long as the goal is not to apply specifically in the Mass Board of Library Commissioners LSTA grant category. You could get a broader scale IMLS grant or a community grant or a foundation grant or another kind of grant. But, yeah, and then like an action step would be to research the other money that's out there. And then revise the application, and
Okay.
that's the level of stuff we send for the action plan.
Okay.
Yeah, but MBLC won't fund anything. I don't know if they want to wait till the construction project is finished or until the grant reporting is done and we have all of our reimbursements. So if it's till construction is done, then yes, we could do it in this cycle. But if it's when we have the last reimbursement and the last report sent, they may say no. Even though I'm the only one who's doing that reporting, it's because I won't be able to oversee it at all. So
How could we find that out?
we asked. Oh, we
I can
applied.
call
We
and
applied,
ask.
and they called and they said, "Oh,
They
yeah,
said this
okay.
is a wonderful
Yes.
plan because
Yes,
this is
but-
the one where I want to teach people how to do things. Allison and I,
Yeah.
the tweens, the teens, and adults. And so we wrote a really nice grant, and she did say it was a really nice grant, but we're in the middle of a
Construction project.
construction or a building grant. So
So if but to Beth's point, if it's just to the construction,
Yeah.
construction may be done in June
Call and ask.
yeah,
2021.
I'll call
Yeah,
and talk.
Shelley Kazada is probably the
And I
person
wonder
to
if
talk
we
to.
might find some other foundations that might help.
Yeah,
Okay.
and then we could just do in-kind support. It's the intent anyway.
So if anyone on this committee would like to be part of the long-range planning committee, Beth, are you the one that's forming the super team?
I think so, yeah. Send names to me. And I guess if everybody volunteers and wants to do it, then you'll have to fight it out
Yeah.
right in this pit in January with forks and spoons.
I'm the scribe.
Yeah, so you're kind of automatically in.
Yeah, so are we?
It'd be really
you
good
don't have
for
to
a
fight.
new.
Okay.
Automatically there. All right, good.
Thank you for the background on that.
Can I get a motion to fund the consultant so I could do a letter of letter of agreement? Her name is, or I could send more information. You could vote on it in January if you prefer.
What's her name?
So it's Patty DiTullio. She's the director of the Ipswich Public Library. She hired me and I did her long range planning for her outside of this job a year and a half ago. And she's done, I don't know how many other libraries she has done herself, but you're never the expert in your own backyard. So she's perfectly capable. So am I. Just can't do it. We're too close to it. I met her almost 15 years ago, probably. She was a library consultant at the time for one of the regions, and she's had the directorship 5 or 6 years, and they're doing really some innovative things up there in Ipswich.
Sounds
So,
good.
Yeah, Susan.
Wonderful to have those connections, Beth. Good job.
Thanks. Susan Babb, who's retiring or has retired from the Newbury Library in Newbury, Massachusetts, I think also does some consulting. She was at one of the regions for a long time as well and has experience. And there's probably 2 or 3 other people. So I could conceivably get resumes together and send them out if you wanted to that. But I can tell you that Patty would be great to work with.
And is that
She's a
something that's
firecracker.
is that something that's required?
No.
I think we'll go.
I can't do it, and none of you know how.
Yeah.
So yes, it's required. Yeah.
I would say we should go with
Yeah.
your judgment, Beth, because we have a lot to do and
Yeah.
people seem all very seasoned.
Yeah.
If she's not available, maybe one of the other candidates.
Okay.
Okay. So,
Last time around, we just picked Sandra Nelson. She's great. She's not doing it anymore. So we can't call her back.
Sounds good to me. Appreciate the work.
so I make a motion to hire a long-range planning consultant
And I second that.
Up to,
Up to, yeah.
up to $1,200.
Thank you.
Coming
Okay.
from,
Coming from state aid.
13 or 12?
Maybe we should.
She'll
go
do it
with
for
some-
12. Yeah.
Does that include everything? Do we have to feed people
Yeah.
or
Are
anything?
there
We
any
would
other
also need to feed
expenses?
people.
Can we make it, should that be a separate budget?
Can we use food, pay for food with state aid?
I'll check, but I think because it is
I think that should be separate.
Yeah.
I think that should be separate because that's kind of like a one-time. This is like a consultant.
Yeah.
It's kind of
Yeah.
maybe
Yeah.
just for that.
We can worry about that in February for our
Okay.
March meeting.
I
Sure.
think,
Yeah.
actually, in fact, that Diane, Libby, and quite a number of people brought food. I think we also
Oh, yeah, I
purchased
do
fruit
remember
and
that.
orange
Yeah.
juice and coffee, but that some people brought baked goods.
Yeah.
Okay.
I do remember.
So
that.
we are looking at an evening. We could either order pizza or we could say eat before you come and we'll provide dessert and coffee.
Sounds good.
That sounds good.
Either way, it's not too expensive.
That's right, because it was the morning thing.
okay.
Yeah.
So,
All
so
right.
down the road.
Yeah.
Do
Okay.
you think
Yeah, we'll
1,200
discuss
covers it? Do you want?
1,200 covers the consultant. And I think we
Fine
don't
with
need to
that.
worry about food yet.
Okay, perfect.
Okay.
Okay, very good.
Second,
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
aye.
Aye. Excellent. Okay, so you have a line item for new hire.
Yes. So we extended, we had 14 applications for the 20-hour part-time permanent vacancy, which has benefits and requires an evening and a weekend shift. We had, we changed the job description to require a bachelor's degree. We had 14 applicants. Not all of them had the bachelor's degree. Very few of them had library experience, and some of them were only available mornings. So they just might have been wonderful, but did not fit the bill for what we needed. Additionally, we have 3 subs, and 2 of them applied, leaving me with a very challenging decision. We interviewed 7 people, and we offered the position to Allison Pacone, who has short blonde hair. She's an artist. She makes beautiful scarves, like hand-dyed scarves. And she's been a sub for a year. She's very bright, very perky, really sweet with patrons, will sit and help people on the computers, covers flexibly in the children's room and in the adult services space. And it's just bright and cheery. And she's also, I think the thing that gave her the itch, she's always looking for extra work. What can I do? What do you have for me? Hey, I looked at the website and found some links that weren't missing. Can I give you that list? So the ambition, and she's been wanting to work full-time or longer permanent since she started as a temp. So she's really grown into the position and was a shoo-in. So Tim, we had the position unfunded, and we were using just the salary to pay subs to help cover those shifts until we were sure the person was not coming back. Tim approved hiring and advertising for the position. He didn't need to meet with her. He also said that she did not need to come, but it did get on the Board of Selectmen agenda for last night. That meeting got pushed till tonight. So at some point tonight, they're approving her appointment. I assume.
Great. Sounds great.
Very well done.
Now that I've said her name, I
Wonderful.
hope they're gonna take care of it. Yeah. So now I have the sad job of letting the other great candidates know. I'm so sorry. But what I would like to do is go back to Tim and say, so now I'm losing a sub who's moving into this 20-hour position. Another sub took a full-time job with the census. Another sub moved to Connecticut. Another sub is working days all the time here and has a very high pay rate if I have her come and cover at the library, so I can't afford her. And another sub works for the school department, and when we need her, which is kind of school vacation when my staff are gone, she's also taking vacation. So I will now be down from like all these subs to two subs. So I'd like to increase the sub pool. And I think last time I just did that with a memo, like kind of as an emergency hire. We just interviewed for this round. We also still have some great people from the last round. We want to add these 4 or 5 names to be on call with the understanding it would never be more than 19 hours a week. Probably going to be only 4 hours, no benefits. And put more people in the rotation to substitute. So that is my plan.
Did we get the opportunity to meet her at Daniela's house for the appreciation dinner?
Was she there?
Yeah,
I think she came.
She did.
Yeah, and her son is in a chorus concert tonight.
Yeah.
But she would like to. She'll probably send you a nice letter with her picture, so you can put a face with a name, and then she will stop in at the January meeting to say hello.
That'd be fantastic.
Great.
Great.
Excellent.
Yep.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Okay.
She's a long-term graphenite. She's
Yeah.
a very skilled artist. Her work
Yes.
is, she has designs that are used in fabric. And, you know, and she, beautiful, it's very exquisite. She had some of her work in the Great Hall. And then she was in the Small Stones Art Festival last year.
Yep.
Oh, excellent.
She's a real asset.
She's wonderful.
Let's see.
Okay.
No.
We're moving towards the end of the agenda here. We have a Census 2020 membership.
So Heidi met with somebody on the census team, I guess is the best word. They weren't looking, to check out our space, to do training or anything like that. They just were looking for some support
Yep.
for their marketing and advertising materials, both to hire people to go and do door-to-door census taking, and also to make sure that the community is really aware that if you're not home or you missed the person, you can do the census online now, and to get people into the building. So more to come on that. For right now, we are hanging up posters and promoting it. There may or may not be another meeting needed, but we're fully in support of this government program and helping to make sure that everybody's counted.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's called a counting
Count me
committee.
in. Yeah, counting committee.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a grant, a library grant for $2,000 to do something with the census, but we're ineligible both because we already have a grant and because they were looking for smaller communities, more rural communities and more.
I still don't quite understand what it is. You're trying to promote
The census.
the census. Okay.
Yeah,
Yep.
so they're asking us to partner with them
Yep.
Just to promote it, make sure
To
make
promote
the
it,
community
market it,
aware
yeah.
of what it is.
They may ask us to help hold a recruitment drive.
Yeah.
Like we'll give them a table in the reading room if they want to come in and have people fill out applications to then go and be door to door census takers. So it's two things. It's getting people to go out door to door, not the library doing that, but providing space and support for census to do that, and then to promote it and make sure everyone's counted.
Yeah.
Okay.
At the last meeting, Doug.
No, that makes sense. I wasn't
Yeah.
sure if you were participating in the census
No.
or just promoting it and providing support. for
Yeah.
it.
So
Yeah.
the Mass Library Trustees Association, MLTA group that Martina is part of, they had a representative from the census come and talk to all the trustees about the importance of libraries in the census and helping count the communities, people in the communities. So I'm sure that's where that's coming from.
Yeah.
It models what happened with Obamacare too, where people who didn't have healthcare were encouraged to sign up online and go to their libraries, and that
Yes.
library staff should be trained and know the form, and be able to help people who thought they could do it themselves online, and then be able to refer them to either by phone or to a center to go and get their health insurance taken care of.
Okay.
Yeah, we're just part of this bigger program.
Excellent. All right. So I have some items kind of tagged on to the end here. So I think I'll leave executive session till the very end.
Okay. If you want to save time, I can email out my report and statistics because I don't see this on.
Yeah.
Everything's down.
Yeah. Could you please email them out?
Yeah,
All right.
most stats are down. It's winter and parking.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Walkabout report, Beth.
There's, other than snow, ice, lighting,
Yep. They're not letting you walk around.
moss on the roof,
Yeah.
leaking.
Yeah, moss. What?
We have moss on the roof.
Do you have a
But, you know, it's
suggestion
not
what to
our
do about the
roof,
moss?
so.
Do you have, should I be asking the roofer to come back and scrape the moss?
I think it needs to be re-roofed, and that would cure the moss issue.
Oh,
Yeah,
well, that's
but-
I mean,
not
that's
our
another
roof.
thing. But
I'll ask him
other
for it.
than the things that we've kind of talked about in general,
Yeah.
you know, the leaking, lighting, whatever. I mean, right now it's really hard to do a walkabout.
You can't.
I mean, we observe the things that are going on inside the building. I don't know if we need to be as vigilant as we were at the main library.
Okay.
You know, like Diane found the leak. Remember the leak that
ice
nobody
dam
was
leak,
aware of,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and they came in and they did a great job. So, if we see something obvious like that, of course we would say something. But
the building we're in has some kind of heating system on the roof that I can turn on to eliminate the possibility of ice dams.
ooh,
Yeah, I
I
know.
like that.
Can I buy that?
How do we know that?
Because above the stove in the kitchen there is a switch with a sign next to it that says for
Oh.
roof ice removal.
Really?
Yeah,
And we still haven't figured out the lighting thing for the fronts.
it seems to be on all the time, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
you know. And then there's another light that's just a floodlight that's on all the time, and it should be coming on.
With the
I'll ask the electricians about that.
Okay.
Leaking. So the skylight hasn't been leaking, but it's not clear to me that anybody came and repaired it. And then there's a bucket in the stacks, and I haven't heard any feedback on what I should.
Oh,
do
it
about the
was
leak in the stack.
recently leaking because Susan said
skylight?
something about almost stepping into the bowl. Mm-hmm. That was
Where?
in the adult section.
Okay.
In the stacks there.
I'll follow up on that tomorrow.
okay.
So other
no
than
window.
that, I mean, I'll still do walkabout, but
It seems like the inside is that, I mean, we're not doing any major outside repairs anyways to that building, but it
That's right,
seems like
because
the
we don't want
inside
to get
is,
hurt.
is also important to
Yeah.
look at.
That'd be
And it's our
devastating.
first winter in that space, right?
true, yeah.
That it's going to be a completely different dynamic than it is.
the zoning is a little bit. I did notice that it can get very cool
Yeah.
in different parts of the library. If you go into the hallway, it's warm. Go into the children's room, it's cool. You go
Yeah.
into the adult section, it's even cooler.
It's
So-
freezing in the bathroom.
Yeah.
And Beth's office, or, you know,
I
our
just-
office, our shared space is
I need
kind
to seal the
of
window.
cold.
yeah.
Yeah, so I have a space heater, and I need to seal the window.
And you have to keep that door shut mainly.
Well, I leave it open when I'm in there,
When you're there.
unless I'm meeting with somebody.
Okay.
Yeah. Space heater's great.
So that's the end of that.
Okay. Thank you, Beth. For a fine-free library, Beth was very kind to put together some numbers for us in the order of, you know, what the library actually takes in, and also what we expend in labor costs in order to process that collection. So, in hearing that you put a bug in Tim's ear about it, I know we as a board talked about writing a letter to the finance committee, but when I brought up that idea to the MBLC, Maura, she said, "Well, I don't think that's the right approach," you know. And so she sent. She said she was going to get this information to me, and she did recently. I forwarded that on to you guys, but it's a lot of information. And part of that was getting the numbers together. So we have our we have our data.
There's some.
I'm not sure what more data we need to collect here.
I think Tim wanted to know how many fine transactions we do a day.
Yeah.
So I asked, we have a daily stat sheet. I
Okay.
asked them to add in a category for fines and a tick mark every time somebody pays for fines. They have to tell somebody they have fines. They have to do a food for fines, tell them about what food for fines is.
Yeah.
So it's not just 2 seconds to ring it in the register. It's every interaction. About, your card is blocked. Oh, I see there's fines on the account that we have to have with patrons.
So there was something that I thought you communicated to us about the self-checkout and not being able to
Yes.
use it if you have fines, but I've
Over
been-
$10.
over $10.
Over
Okay,
$10.
because I've been told that a lot of people still can use it and they have fines. Okay.
Yeah, it'll pop up and tell you.
Well, I just
That there's
remember. Yeah, I just remember that either you said that they have to go and talk to
Yes.
a librarian.
When the card is blocked.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well-
because they can't pay at the machine. That is a functionality of the
Yeah.
machine, but we would need a credit card reader and a policy about it and permission from the town,
Yeah.
which they are just starting to do credit card transactions, and I could do it. CW Mars doesn't want staff handling credit card information from patrons, so.
So did you
Ways
distribute
away
what the
from that.
expenses coming in? Was that last meeting that I missed?
I think I
she
just
shared,
sent
she
it
shared
to
that with
Aaron, yeah.
me.
I can get it
so
out, though.
If you're interested, I can share it with you.
Yeah, I can
But
get it.
what I'd like to do is at least draft a letter with the data that we have, and I will pass it around to this committee, in that we can agree on the communication we want to set forth, from the board. And I think that can at least on a first pass go to Tim. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and then see what questions he has.
Yeah.
How does the finance committee get involved?
We have to go present the budget in March.
Yeah.
And that is the time when they're looking at the whole town budget for us to say, by the way, the library turns in $6,500 or $8,000 in
so we're gonna
revenue
have
every
to
year.
tell them-
We want to stop doing that.
Okay.
And we don't want the
That's
money.
why they're involved.
We just want to stop doing it because now they have to say, oh, now we have a deficit.
So
How are we going to make up that
who makes
deficit?
that final judgment? Is it the finance?
I don't know if it's,
committee and Tim?
I don't know if it's finance committee or Tim, or ultimately the
The town votes on.
But they're voting on the
town's-
whole budget.
Will we have to vote on that at town, as a town?
No, I don't think
Not,
separately.
not specifically, but people
No.
can go hold, and they can talk about it if they want to. Does that sound about right?
Yeah, usually though,
Yeah.
I don't know that the budget that's presented at town meeting or even that shows up in the paper lists all of the different revenue sources and where they come from.
Yeah, I don't think.
Right.
it's-
I mean, it has the
That's
whole
true.
warrant articles with renewing revolving
has,
accounts,
like,
and then it
sal-
has department by department.
Yeah,
This
it's the
much for
other way.
salary,
Would-
this much for
Right.
expenses, this much for equipment.
So would we be making up that difference?
I have offered, and I've heard that I do not need to offer that. That it then becomes their problem to figure out where they're going to get $8,000 from to
Okay.
redistribute to
And
wherever
the
it needs to
person
go.
from the library person, did she think we should be sending a letter?
Not at the moment, not until we get the facts and the data, which
Okay,
is
but-
also kind of what Tim was saying.
Okay, so in the end, she thinks we should send a letter.
Well, I don't know what.
Or do a presentation.
Yeah.
Or do a
But isn't
presentation.
is the decision to become fine-free a board decision? Or is it a town decision?
That's a good question.
Yeah, that's,
I don't think there's anything in the bylaws. I think what might be in the bylaws is that any revenue from fine money per mass law goes into the town coffers. Free, whatever, and then it gets redistributed the next year. It doesn't go directly back to the library, but what I say is it doesn't matter that it doesn't show up as a line item
yeah.
in my budget because I get, I think
So
I
what
might
about the-
800,000 this
Do you know
year.
what the other libraries have had to do?
Yeah, I went to a presentation on it at the Mass Library Association conference, and it was collect the data, share the data, and then
Yep.
the powers that be
Yeah.
get to decide.
So we don't know if it's our
Did you
policy.
have a question, Beth?
Yeah.
Wouldn't
Yeah,
it
I
be our
did. What
policy?
happens to food for fines, which people absolutely love?
I would just do it year round.
I mean, they really do love it, and they say they don't mind
Yeah.
doing food for fines.
Right.
Yeah.
There's some different approaches. It doesn't have to be completely fine free.
Yep.
Some just have children accounts are fine free because children don't have jobs, and we can't put that burden on the parents for the So a lot of children's accounts are fine free. If you're under
Yeah.
16 or
We reduced the fines on videos, and I don't think I asked. We just did.
Yeah.
Because I thought that was library procedure, not not
the-
board policy.
The other thing I learned is that Shrewsbury, they said they're fine free, but what they do is they say, well, you don't owe us anything, but they still like accrue it on the accounts. But if you'd like to make a donation to the Friends, and usually people are more happy to just put money in the Friends coffers that way. So that's how they do it. So we can basically come up with whatever approach we feel will be best. But I think fine free for the amount, and I'm happy to share that with you guys. We don't need to.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've taken in $6,500 in revenue since July 1st.
Well, it seems to
I
me that
believe.
if you make them
could be
pay
wrong.
to give a donation, that's kind of still a fine in essence.
They don't have to. It's
You
an
don't
option.
Oh, they don't have to. It's
Yeah.
just an option.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
But more people are happy to do that, and like you said,
They love
food
it.
for fines and stuff. Yeah.
We have food for
Oh,
fines.
so what
Yeah.
what
we
we
give
could
it
do
to
is say,
the-
still give us some canned goods.
Yes.
Yeah, or whatever. I mean, there's a
the-
coat
the
drive
people
every
who need
December.
food.
There's a pajama drive almost every February.
love
So you
doing
could you could mix it up, but
Oh, we
it would
could
really
mix it
help
up.
the food bank.
Yeah.
And
It
it
would
works.
just be You could do this instead.
It seems like our page has taken on bringing things to the food bank for us. So once a week, which is great. Tim did ask me to weigh it next year, or in the summer, because he wants to know how many pounds of food we're donating.
Oh,
So we will need to actually track our food donations in
Got a
June,
scale?
in July and August.
Before we make a decision?
No, just independently.
Just
Sorry,
just
independently. Yeah, sorry.
Okay,
Okay, all right.
very
Yeah,
good. So if
thanks.
anybody would like to help me with that, that'd be great. Okay, thank you. So the director's report, you'll send that out to us?
Yeah.
Sorry, policy review.
I sent them out a long time ago because I got them back from Ginny and you had a month to read it. I'm hoping we can just vote. Code of conduct
Right.
and library camera.
There's 4 of them, right?
Well, we revised 2 and we voted to revise, to accept the revisions.
Okay.
And then we had 2 that I had given to her, gotten feedback on her first, and then Daniela and I gave it out to you guys to read in the interim and approve.
And I think moving forward, Beth and I met as sort of the policy committee, subcommittee, and we'd like to start bringing up 1 or 2 each meeting, as if there's several in queue
Yeah.
to be revised. Some haven't been looked at for a little while. And there's no hard and fast rule right now in terms of, the length of time to review, but it's good to review them every couple of years, 2 to 3 years. So I will soon, I keep on saying that, hopefully by the end of the year, send out a spreadsheet to everybody to see which ones are on deck. And we will try to prioritize ones that are most needed, and we'll bring them up every month, about 2 of them, and then we'll go from there.
So I think for next month, we want to look at reciprocal borrowing, right, which has been about 10 years. It's just an agreement that says if a library is decertified, we can't give them a card. They can use the library, but we will not let them be borrowers to support our other libraries. We do need to revisit the snow and ice policy. I made some tweaks, and we just had a new suggestion tonight on what the chain of command should be, so we want to get that in there.
Right.
And then I have a program policy that's kind of an internal procedure that I just want to run by everybody and make sure they're on board with. And you may decide that, no, this actually needs to have the Board of Trustee backing.
Right. Right.
So we're going to send out 3. I will try and do it by Friday, and then you'll have until January 22nd to look at them.
okay.
But for tonight, code of conduct.
Yeah.
And library camera and surveillance policy. 2 different ones.
Okay, do we need a motion to accept those? Is that,
Are those policies that you guys sent out last month?
2 months now.
Yeah, honestly, I have not read them.
Okay.
2 months we sent them out?
I think that we talked about it 2 months ago. I was waiting to hear feedback from our lawyer.
Right.
And then I said I had the feedback, but I got it Wednesday morning, so I didn't want you to read it in the meeting and discuss it. So I
Yeah,
wanted you to take it home
that's
and
right.
look at it.
Yeah. These ones sound a little sticky, especially if they've been reviewed by town council.
Yeah.
I don't know that I'm comfortable with approving it if I haven't read it yet.
I don't think I've ever seen it, but I was
Okay.
gone the last two months.
Yeah.
So town council's now looking at all these? They're making a lot
So
of changes?
No, we're bringing changes to them, but in particular, the code of conduct and the surveillance had to do with the First Amendment's rights
Okay.
violation activist group who were walking into libraries and saying, you can't tell me that I'm prohibited from taking photos and videotaping you.
Oh, okay.
I'm press. So we had to change to change
Yeah.
to support First Amendment rights.
Okay.
Because we were not. In the surveillance camera, we've had cameras and we've never had a policy around it. So those are sort of imminent. We really need to have legal counsel about these in particular. But really, council should be reviewing all of our policies to make sure we're not going off our rocker and saying things that you can and can't do in the library that actually.
I think it's good that they're
can't,
involved.
so.
We do, it's.
Yeah, why not?
Okay.
So, all right, so I can
Skills.
send them all out again, but
So, yeah.
to just move,
We'll just
like,
shift.
Can somebody move to accept them?
Well, I don't think I'm ready to accept them if I haven't read them yet, and that's on me. And I think others haven't read them recently either.
Were they sent in
What
an
happens
email
if-
or were they distributed
Yeah.
last meeting?
Can we,
Where
That
are
would-
they?
need to be an executive session because this
Yeah.
happens frequently.
Do you want to just review them right now? Is it too
it's
late?
8:45.
No, I don't want to
sorry.
review them.
I will send them out right now. How about that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, I think generally as a maybe a process might be better that the policy subcommittee can remind us that we are reviewing these at the next meeting. Please read them because we're voting on them.
It was in the, it was said last month.
Yeah. I just, right, the process is broken. I'm just making a suggestion. If anybody else has a better suggestion.
We can do that. We can do that.
Because I
Alright.
think it's ambitious to review two every meeting. If we're gonna do that, then I think we need to put a process in place in order for us to make sure that we're looking at.
I
them.
sent them on December 11th with a request to add it to the agenda and with the code of conduct, security camera, and request for footage attached
Okay, so that was a week
a week ago.
And then the month before,
And they went out in, like, print copies went out in November.
Okay.
So I'm gonna forward it again. We could also opt to add in a meeting and meet every other week for us to sit down and all look at policy together. And read it in the meeting and talk about it. But that's a lot of time.
Don't we have a committee for that?
Exactly.
do.
So if the
And we
committee
should
has
think
done
we're
that
doing
and
a
is
good
bringing
job.
the policy to the meeting,
Well, this is gonna sound stupid, but is there any way that we could, at the particular meeting, couldn't we just have the committee, a committee member person read it to us and we just review it right then and there? Is that too
this is
long?
homework between meetings.
Okay.
yes.
Yeah.
And it also takes like 2-3 hours to go through, because I am a member of the policy. It takes a couple hours to go through it. Then you might go step and you might go back to it again. It's not just reading it, and that would take our whole meeting.
Oh, okay. You're
it's
saying
a
that
lot
as
of work.
individuals, and we need to read it and think about it, come back and
Yes.
do it.
So I have a
You're not-
suggestion. Why don't Danielle and I take it offline and we'll discuss it.
Okay.
But I don't
do
think
that.
we're ready to
Okay.
I don't think we're ready to vote on these tonight.
Well, they're they're important too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're heavy. They're heavy ones, yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
You'll,
Okay.
Okay. So you agreed to send out the director's report.
Yeah.
Okay, very good. I think we are ready to go into executive session. So do I have a motion to enter executive session?
And that means you have.
Sorry, we have to review Marty.
Okay, I make a motion to go into executive session.
I second that motion.
Okay, all in favor?
Did you want to
Aye.
Aye.
Do you want to visit with Aaron a moment after,
That's it.
or do you? I mean,
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not sure how long this is gonna take.
The executive session's out there, isn't it?
Can you leave your phone number and we can set,
Yeah.
or your email address with Beth and, you know,
Yeah, because you,
yeah, I'd love to speak to you more. Great. Okay.
and
So,
I'm glad to speak to him too.
okay. To discuss these matters in open session will compromise the town's position and needs to be discussed in executive session. The chair so declares.